The party was nice, the party was pumping. And everybody having a ball. Until the fellas started in calling. All right. Good morning. Good morning. It is 6:30. It is July 9th. Hopefully everyone's feeling well. Listen, take a look at the disclosure. By this time, you know the drill. Hopefully everyone's feeling well. All right. Once again, good morning. My name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com. Welcome to the 630 Club. The 630 Club is where I go over some potential ideas for the day, charts, situations that I'm looking at that I think could make us money today. Maybe there's not a lot going on where we just keep ourselves safe or opportunities present themselves. You know, today, obviously, we all know Fed Powell will be speaking at 10 o'clock. It's very important. We know we have the CPI on Thursday, the PPI on Friday, and bank earnings. And we're on day 4, day 5 of this rally. So let me say hello to some of my dogs around the world. All right, who's tuning in? We got Itch from Connecticut. Look at you every single morning. We got Mike. Good to see you from the Alpha team. We have Sanjeev. We got Pascal in the house. Ali's in the house. We got Brussels in the house. We got Alabama in the house. What up, Blair? Good to see you. All right, guys, let's get to it. All right, so here we go. Oh, I got to actually put the charts connected here for us. Let's share the screen. You guys want to be able to see the spies here. Let's go. Boom, boom. There you go. Okay. All right. So here we are. Here's a chart of the spies. You could see right into this scenario. Last week, we had the 8-day moving average as real big support. And if you remember the day before we left for July 4th, the market ignited, and then here we are 4 days later with a little bit of a doji close. This morning, the spies are up $1.30 for really no real reason. So I do think that today will be probably a better trim into strength than actually add to longs. You might have some individual names that go, but for as far as the spies are concerned, if you were looking to hedge and you think that the second half of July is going to be a little weaker than the first half, that's historically better. Maybe into this strength, you go out to like the last week of July or the first week of August and you buy some puts just as insurance. Listen, if you have a huge portfolio, market's been on a tear. I've been losing money by putting on hedges, but I'm also managing 10, 12, 15 longs. Been making a little bit of money selling premium. Like today with the 556.57, we're opening above 556.25. I'll probably be selling premium, for today, maybe for tomorrow, but just also know that if Powell at 10 o'clock is a little extra dovish, it might cause a little squeeze first. So be a little careful doing that. Anyway, little doji close. So do we hold above 556.25 or not? Tech sector has been in fuego. Qs have been leading all year long. Can't be upset about the action in tech. Last week, huge moves in mega cap tech. A lot of bull flags. Every Saturday I say, hey, take 3 minutes and go over your chart patterns. The reason why I do that is because chart patterns can make you money. And a lot of the best companies in the world had bull flag breakouts. Which ones? Well, Apple. Look at that move. We've been going over Apple literally every single day. Every time I have the 630 Club, Apple's up there. You better have made a lot of money as an investor, or, this last spot was really, great. Okay, it's hard to be upset when you have a huge 2-day ignition, hit 220, consolidate for 2 weeks, and then you're able to buy when we take back the 8-day, add when it clears a prior pivot of 220, and then there's 227. And now this morning, Apple's actually a little flattish. But I will say, okay, and it was tough. It was really tough. Yesterday, I sold the rest of my Apple. Only because I'm active and only because I trade for a living. Those of you who've invested in Apple for the past decade, congratulations. You probably have more money than I do. Those of you who trade it, you know what? It just had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-day move. We were buying this. I was adding options here. So for now, I'm just going to be tactically approaching Apple. There are a lot of names like this that it's hard to buy now, but you can manage. Another one that I think is hard to buy is Microsoft. Microsoft gave a move yesterday at an inside day. So who knows? Maybe it actually could increase. But Microsoft also has given you such a big move. It's like, it's hard to get so aggressive. The last time you should have got aggressive is at the prior setup. The setup was when it cleared 433 or cleared 423. And now it's just been trending above the 8-day moving average. The 8-day moving average is the moving average that active momentum traders want to live. And when it's above it, that's when you're trying to be long. Okay. I do still think, I know, I hate to be in a laggard, but Amazon still is really tight here. For some reason, I think Jeff is selling more shares. As soon as he's done with his next $5 billion worth of stock, I do think this is going to have a cleaner move. We had a very clean move when it cleared 189, when it cleared 191. Okay, and look at that move to 201, above the 8-day moving average. Something, oh, Amazon's so frustrating. It's only frustrating if you add a lot to it into strength. And I've done that a bunch of times, and it is frustrating when that happens. But you're not if you're just kind of staying with your shares and adding very specifically. And who knows, maybe today we'll see if it goes a little bit more. But that's been pretty good. I still think that could stretch. By now, everyone's already made a lot of money in Tesla. If you made a lot of money in Tesla, congratulations. It was a big money trade for so many of us. You had this inverted head and shoulders pattern, and basically triggered here at 191, triggered at 198. Some people had to trigger 203, and it went to 259 yesterday. You could have bought a dip yesterday. It was down $4 and then went green and went up 3. There's a lot of money there for an active trader. Now what? It's just a little tougher. It's definitely a little tougher now because one pullback could be could lead to something a little bit bigger, but it hasn't. So if you're trying to be a cute short, it's been hard to really make money unless you're selling into strength. And at this point, again, it's down a little bit this morning. So who knows? Maybe it has another inside day. Lately, the semis that got overheated have given so many different specific opportunities. The SMH, which is a sector for obviously the semis, went through a rebuilding process. What's a rebuilding process? It means it got overheated. It means it had to correct from 279 down to 255s. And now look at that move up. Within that move up, you had a lot of different stocks that have given you plenty of opportunities to make money. ARM made a new high. Taiwan Semi made a new high. And then you have AMD that actually woke up. What do I mean by waking up? Well, it's been in a choppy range for literally, since May. Woke up on Friday, and actually for the first time in a while, it gave you follow through. Yesterday, I said I think you can get to 183 if you stood with a certain portion of your tiers. You made really good money. If you netted some, great. They can't take it away from you if that's the case. So anyway, it's been good to play the leaders making new highs, the laggards that ignite, and then just some that are still rebuilding. Yesterday, I talked to you guys about SMCI. I personally think this SMCI should be a focus. I started buying when AMD was going on Friday. I started buying some options in SMCI. And then when it went above 892, a lot of people went into the stock. And now I'd love to see this thing continue. What do I mean by continuing? I think get above and stay above 926. If that happens, there's really nothing to 972 and then 1014. And then if it were to clear that in the sessions ahead, chances are there's really not a whole lot here up until the old high. So I would say if I were to give you an opinion, which is just an opinion, before the end of the year, you're going to have another powerful big quarter. You're going to have a stock split, and this thing will be over 1,200. That's been an opinion. As a trader, I'm in it. I'm in some stock. I might add to it today above 926. And to be honest, if this thing's any good, it shouldn't go back down below, just say the 890 area. If it does, maybe 880, it would probably be a little bit more frustrating and take a little bit more time, which sometimes these things take a little bit of time. But I do think, this story is far from over. It could get added to the NASDAQ 100, all these things. So something just to think about. You should have something, some kind of call spread on for the next month, whatever you want to do. Anyway, that's SMCI. Some of you guys are doing really well with Palantir. Congratulations. Well, it's been a huge mover. Most would have got in right here on this 2-day move, or maybe when it broke above the 8-day with this sort of like inside wedge formation. And now here you are trending higher. Hard to get bigger there, but it's moving pretty well. Somebody just asked me, Todd D, is SMCI better than Dell? They're just different. Okay, basically, Dell I think is a little easier to manage. It's not as highly priced. Like there's no huge spread, and if you're wrong for 5 minutes, it could be down $10. But bottom line is Dell kind of woke up. Some guys were buying it. Look at that red dog reversal at 133. Now it got back above the moving averages. So I'm not exactly sure where it's doing today, but your next spot to get above would be right there, which would be that's 149. What's Dell doing this morning? Dell is up $1.39, giving you a little bit upside follow through. They're totally different. I know they trade somewhat together at times, but yeah, and it's been a great trend. So a lot of guys have made a lot of money in Dell in the trades technically. So Dell is definitely on the game plan. My thoughts on IWM. IWM is kind of set up if you want to talk about sectors. I would not be buying strength in the IWMs. Every time IWM is up and you get excited, it usually pulls back. The only time to wait to buy the small caps is on a dip. At some point, really when the Fed's ready to decrease interest rates, perhaps the small caps play catch up. It hasn't happened yet. You could have a small focus there, like being a little bit of small caps, but don't get away from what's moving and working, and that hasn't been the small caps. And it could change this week. You have Powell if he's dovish today. If the CPI is light and the PPI is light, chances are you're going to get a little bit of a rotation here. So if you think that's going to happen, what you could do is just buy a set of options for Friday. So this way you're not really watching it. Maybe buy the 205s, or even if you want to do a lot, buy the 207 halves. They're probably real cheap. IWM's done not a lot. I did that with the XBI. I did that with the BIOS. To me, the BIOS look a little bit better. I bought the 93s and the 95s, not for this Friday, for next Friday. So if it happens to get above 93 to 95, it'll make a nice move. So Cool Papa says there's a huge call volume came in, for 712 and 900. Okay. Thoughts on the financial sector and earnings? You know what? JP Morgan comes out on Friday. JP Morgan's already had a really big move. JP Morgan tends to not really act well into numbers. If you're an investor in JP Morgan, it's been the best stock to be in. But usually as an active trader, buying the day of earnings for JP Morgan is very, very sloppy. I rarely ever play it, especially when it's kind of priced for perfection. And what do I mean by that? I haven't looked at the weekly chart in a while, but this, the weekly, this is not, it's not Citigroup, it's not Bank of America. Like, this stock has been trending and it's, had a really nice move. So it's, if they say what they said last time, where they came out and they were a little cautious, you could see a down move. So I'm not going to be playing JP Morgan. You guys could do it if you want. Here's your pivot. For momentum, it's got to get above and stay above this spot, and this high for JP Morgan is 210. Be my guest if you want to play it. It's up to you. But anyway, let's move on. Rivian. Tony thinks Rivian's ready. Okay. Rivian's a power play. Okay. Just so you guys know, I do have a product called Power Plays, which is a product that goes out and tells you what to buy, where to put your stop, and where it could go. My note every day has about 30 actionable thoughts, which makes you decide what you want to do. If out of 30 thoughts, maybe you pick 5, maybe you pick 2, maybe you pick 12. Power Plays sends you, do this, needs to hold out, that's where it can go. And we put this on as a power play somewhere verse 13, and it's definitely moving better. It had, remember, it had that gap up on Volkswagen. What's it doing this morning? Rivian is up 10 cents. Listen, it's not a barn burner, but it can trend higher, and at least where your your point of reference is, and you're out. So you know what your risk is defined there. My guess would be the oscillator is pretty elevated. That's MLD. He knows. He's from the Alpha team. He knows when it's hard to buy. Well, the SPY oscillator was at one point, it was at 30. Overbought is 40. The SPYs are definitely getting a little elevated here. It could be a little tough, to sustain this up move, up $1.30 above 556. So again, like for me, I have a bunch of things on, a lot of things on, and I'm managing it. So what I'll probably do today is I'll sell some premium for tomorrow, hoping that we don't get above it so I can keep it. And then if we pull back, I also sold some premium in the money that I'm caught in. So at this point, I would put on some kind of hedges, because who knows, maybe a sell program hits on Powell. Sometimes they do that too. Someone said, is Avago slow, steady till split? Avago, listen, guys, last week I was telling you to buy options on Avago. A lot of people were buying the 1850s. A lot of guys were buying versus the pro gap. Okay, this 1564 right around here, it started showing relative strength, and now it looks like it's going to get above 1765 and 1850. So what's Avago doing this morning? Avago is, up another 17, right into this spot. So 1765. Here's 1850. I don't think 1850 is going to be the high post split at some point. So this story still has some legs. And if you follow Fancy Nancy, she bought Avago back here, and that was a nice little spot. All right, D made some good money there. Listen, guys, just keep moving and grooving. That's all you could do. Someone asked me about Reddit. Okay, Reddit is interesting. I am not on the Reddit boards. I don't think I've ever been on a Reddit board, but there are a lot of people that say they're pretty informational and they could do a lot for you. P.S. Reddit was one of the new issues that came out in the past year or so. There's not been a lot of IPOs out there. And look at this accumulation. So at some point, I think this Reddit is going to go. And it's already had a good rally, but it's got to get above 75 and 76. And if it does, you could say the measured move, if you're being very conservative, 55 to 75 gives you, 95. I'm in some stock, I'm in some options. I personally, again, it's not my thing, but a lot of people love it. I remember when I had heart surgery 6 weeks ago, they're like, Red Dog, there's a Reddit board about the mitral valve. They sent me a link. I went to the Reddit board mitral valve, and there was tons of information. So it's not just stock information. There's a lot of information there. So, maybe it continues. Some of you guys like this ENVX. I'm in some options. It's had a nice move already, but still has like a little bit of a bull flag continuation pattern that can go here. Just don't be so big. And NVIDIA, yes, I'm also long NVIDIA overnight. So by the way, this is the alpha team. Okay, so they get to see what I'm doing when I'm doing it. So I'm holding right now, I have Amazon, NVIDIA, Palantir, SMCI, Mobileye, Oxy, and Reddit. And then I have my options, and then I'm short some 550, 250 calls for the spies I got stuck in, which is fine. And then I'll probably short some more. So I have a little less on today than I had on yesterday. I sold my Apple yesterday. Last week I sold my Microsoft and my, what's it called? Just a few whatever else it was that I was trading. And unfortunately, I didn't hold my Meta because Meta came in yesterday, and I just didn't feel like taking Meta. But Meta came in and did a little bit of a retest into this 530 area. It just felt a little sloppy, and I just didn't feel like dealing with it. My buddy Brian, he was buying the kazoots out of it, and I guess you can now use this as your point of reference, which is right there. This is 525. So Meta gave you a big move. A lot of guys made big money on the on the options heading into expiration, and now it's just does it hold here and continue? It's also come a long way. So anyway, with that being said, guys, it's 648. Futures are up 12.13. If you are long some stocks, like I am long some stocks, what I typically do is I trim into strength to net money. Then I get to see what's happening in the first 30 minutes to see if I want to buy more than I had overnight or add new positions based on chart patterns. But again, day 5 up at a new high ahead of Mr. Powell at 10 o'clock. You just want to be careful and know what you can handle and know your time frame. Listen, guys, I appreciate you guys for tuning. Oh, what about Crowd? Crowd was a little loose and wide yesterday. I wound up making a little bit of money, and then I didn't like that it went up 4, then down 8, but it's still in the game. I think this, if you got out of it because it got a little loose and wide. I don't like when something gets loose and wide, meaning what? Goes up 5, falls 8, and you're like, what the hell's going on here? I like it when it's tight, methodical, and you feel safe. But anyway, if Crowd were to get above 394 to 397 with real volume, okay, chances are it's going to be above 400 very soon. And if you don't want to deal with this kind of loose and wide action, maybe go buy yourself the $400 calls a few weeks out or create a spread. Crypto, some people are saying Bitcoin bottomed. Maybe it did. If you bought the dip, that's what you do. I like when it starts acting better, when it starts a new trend, then I start trading Bitcoin more. If you buy Bitcoin every single month for the past 10 years, you're doing absolutely fantastic. If you're an asset allocator, as I said, equities, a little bit of gold, a little bit of Bitcoin. Okay, that's what you need to accumulate over 30 years. Not altcoins, not flashes in the pan, this and that. And at this point, you do have this little lower wedge in Bitcoin. Okay, so hey, if you bought in the hole at verse 53 or you bought on a higher level verse that, we'll see what happens. Sometimes it likes to do like a little false bottom before starting a new trend. And some of the Bitcoin guys that I follow say that fund that had to sell all that Bitcoin mechanically is done, and there is also settlement with, I think, FTX, where anybody who lost all that money with Sam is coming out, and they might put some money back to work because it's been trapped for a bunch of years. So anyway, in order to get back up towards 63, it's got to get above and stay above 58.5. So you do have this little lower area, which some say is the bear flag. Like this was a bear flag and it continued lower, but every now and then you don't want to get too cute because it could pop back up, which you kind of did here and there. So it's fine. It's just I lost a lot of money in Bitcoin in the last 3 months trying to play a breakout. Here, I was looking for a breakout. It broke down. Here, I was looking for a breakout. It did nothing, broke down. I was playing options in BITO that kind of don't correlate. So I would never trade options in BITO. It does not correlate to the price of Bitcoin. If you need to buy an ETF by the IBIT, that correlates well, and BlackRock is behind it. It's a little bit more efficient. Or just buy Bitcoin at Coinbase and put it every single month. Anyway, 6:51. I'm already what's the word? I'm not late. I am past due. and just listen, guys. Do what you know, do what you can handle. And there's been a lot of moves to make. So just keep making them and don't fall asleep behind the wheel because things can get a little volatile at 10 o'clock. Later, guys.